All right, it says we're live. We've got some technical difficulties with a reverb with an echo issue that we can't seem to get rid of, at least in my headphones. Lisa, why don't you say one or two things and then they can let us know on the chat whether or
Hello.
not.
Yeah, so I was wondering, is the echo still going on for anyone in the chat? Do you hear it or am I clear?
Just wait for a response on
Yeah.
that.
Hopefully
1, 2,
it's
3,
just
4,
on
5,
your
6, 7 echoes,
yeah.
echoes.
No echo.
Okay.
Okay. Good sign.
Okay, right. So it's just me that's hearing
Unfortunately
it.
for you, Bart, you're gonna have to hear it.
That's fine. I can cope with it so long as nobody else can hear an echo on Lisa. That's okay. Clear and good. Okay, fine. We'll just go with it. Right. Welcome to the very first live questions and answers session with Lisa as my co-host. Basically, what I'm going to do is let you guys, you know how it works. Put a large capital Q, then a colon, write your question in full. Don't forget capitalization. The preferred means of communication is English. Okay. Suffix the whole thing with a question mark. That way, His Majesty Ted, King of the Bears, will be able to find the questions more easily and bring them up on the screen so that Lisa can answer the questions. I'm here in a support role. If there's anything that she's not sure of, she can just say so, because it's perfectly okay not to know everything, isn't it, Ted? Yes. And so therefore, I can help out if needs be. And if I don't know, then I'll ask Ted. And Ted will be the final arbiter of all things to do with fact. All right, so there it is. All right, let's see who's in the house while we're waiting for people to formulate their questions. Rightio, Feasting Female is in the house. Good to have you in the house, Feasting Female. Christian's here. Hey, good to see you. Jennifer's in the house. Good morning from down under. Yes, down under is a good place to be. It's bloody cold down under this morning. It's very autumnal. We had just over 1 degree C this morning. Not good. Ben's here. Good to see you, Ben. Patty's in the house. Very nice. Patty just found some nice clay on her niece's property. Okay, very good.
Very cool.
Yeah. Okie dokie. All right. Good eve. Hello. Everybody's hello. Yes, very good. Don't forget, by the way, to hit the like button, folks, and also after the show, once it's finished being live and it becomes a pre-recorded video, then you need to go back again and make a comment underneath the video for Al Gore and his rhythms. Al Gore likes that kind of thing. Kia ora from Puhoi. Kia ora ho, kei te pihi a koe, kei te pa. Didn't I say English was the correct language here in Pimbatia? Goodness gracious. Rightio. The first question, and it's not formatted correctly. Goodness, 1 Q and not 3, just 1. Then a colon. You forgot the capitalization, and there's no space between the end of the last word and the question mark, if you please. Goodness. Ted gets very upset with poor writing, doesn't he? Yes. Right, anyway, here's a question. How does myo-inositol help insulin work better? Now, is that something that you know something about, Lisa?
No.
Okay, right. Neither am I, particularly in terms of, I don't even know what myo-inositol necessarily is.
I haven't heard.
Inositol sounds like it's a sugar alcohol. How it works on insulin and whether it works to make insulin work better, you tell us. So that was a fail on our first question, both of us. That's all good. Okay, question. Should I request bloods from my doctor to check my levels? I'm 4 months into carnivore, and if so, what bloods should I request? I feel fine. Okay, this is an interesting one. Lisa,
So
what do you
if
think?
you feel fine and you just want to maybe get like a nutrient panel check to see if everything is okay, I'd say maybe do like a lipid profile if you want to see if your triglycerides are low, if your HDL is in check with your triglycerides. I wouldn't worry about LDL. And maybe just a nutrient panel, make sure like you're getting enough of everything. But if you're on carnivore and you feel fine and you don't really feel like you're like any lethargy or anything that's wrong, I think that you should be okay. But yeah, maybe get a nutrient panel and like a lipid panel.
Perfect. Really good. Great answer. Yeah. At the end of the day, here's the thing. Most meds will not give you any information of utility. They will not give you any information that's of prognostic value either. It's a load of nonsense mostly. Basically, the medical profession really just want to pathologize everything. If you feel fine, if you are asymptomatic, if there are no issues, there's nothing to worry about, nothing to check, really, pretty much. So, yep, I like that. That's a good, sensible, and very mature answer. Love it. Let's go with the next one. Just come off a 3-day fast using chicken broth. Got an osmotic flush briefly. How do you know? So after fasting, what is the best restart food? All right. Okay, so you've been on a fast for 3 days. It's time to break the fast. How do you do it?
Oh, is this for me? Okay.
Yeah, they're all
So
for
I
you.
actually recently did like a 60-hour fast. I broke it yesterday morning. And I find that the best way is to eat something very light at the start. I would usually go for eggs, or I actually did chicken soup. But something that's light, and then wait an hour or so for your digestive system to actually get working again. And then you can eat a proper meal. But I definitely wouldn't eat too much at once. And yeah, maybe I think eggs are a really good go-to. It doesn't really cause problems for anyone as far as I know.
Yep, good stuff. I mean, I normally suggest something like an egg drop soup, or possibly even some well-sourced bone broth, something, mostly liquid, not too heavy.
Mhm.
Have a small amount of that as an intake. That way you don't throw everything off in terms of your electrolytes and things too badly. Give it 3 or 4 hours before you have your first solid, decent sized meal. Away you go from there. But, eggs are fairly light. Yep, absolutely fine. No problems. I think that's probably not a bad approach. Okie dokie. All right. Very good. What would you do if those tests come back good anyway? Well, nothing. If your tests are good, you're good. If your tests are not good, but you feel good, depends on what sort of tests were taken as to whether or not you need to take them seriously. Like Lisa said, why would you bother testing lipids at all? Because lipids don't cause heart disease or any other problem, so why test them? It's just nonsense. Okie dokie. Fructosamine, 251, fasting, insulin 19. Okay. Does fasting a couple of times a week help that fasting insulin come down? Weight loss slow, but muscle mass increase slightly and feel great. Okay. Yep. So does fasting help your insulin come down? Your resting or fasting insulin come down, do you think?
I think, yeah, if you're fasting pretty often, then your insulin is going to be more stable, and fasting insulin is going to become lower if there isn't as much food coming in. It's going to rest at a lower rate. I'm not sure, because in Canada we use millimoles per is it liter? Yeah, so I don't know what 19 is, but I'm sure that it will come down more fasting you do.
Yeah, absolutely right. The thing that causes insulin to be elevated is the intake of things that stimulate insulin. Most powerfully, that's carbohydrates, and a second tier is via the intake of protein. So there it is, basically. Very good. Love it. How can you have optimal fat clearance on carnivore if there is possible liver damage or toxins in the body that impair optimal fat digestion, where there is a possibility for fat to accumulate? Okay, that's an interesting question. We'll let Lisa have a go at it and see what she says. But
I'm not sure what they mean by fat clearance. Like,
exactly. Yeah, what do you mean clearance of fat? Good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
And really, okay, if there is possible liver damage, well, why do you think you've got possible liver damage? Maybe you should have your liver tested. your liver function tested to see if there is liver damage, or a scan to see if there's liver issues or whatever going on there. Okay, so don't know. All right, next question. We call them questions here. I don't know why we call them questions. It's something Pim used to do. What the hell? Do you think the body of an immunocompromised person, because of a lung transplant, could eventually accept the new organs and get off the immuno drugs if that person is a carnivore? That's a pretty high level question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Goodness. Just remind people, Lisa, your age and stage, where you're at, what your education level is, etc. I have picked you up and said she knows stuff, and you do, but come on, tell us about it.
So I'm in my last year of high school. I'm 18. And yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not too knowledge yet, but I'm learning more.
Yeah. So let's keep the questions, if we can, at a level of what's good in terms of nutrition, etc. The body of an immunocompromised person because of a lung transplant. Geez, that's a very specialist question.
I would think that if someone is carnivore, their immune system would work better because they'd be able to generate more white blood cells because the absence of carbs all the time. But I'm not sure if it's good enough to get off any medications.
Exactly. I mean, I was a professor of health science for more than 2 decades, and I don't know the answer to that. That's a very specialized question for a very specific niche of medicine, for goodness sake. Anyway, thanks for the question. Right. What's next? $10 US. We love $10. Thank you, Feasting Female. Question. 98% lion for 2 years. Okay. For RA and off all meds. Okay. Tasting salt. Do use. I don't think salt ancestrally appropriate. Why the hell not? You evolved in salt. We all evolved in the ocean, for goodness sake. Are there pics of salt licks on cave walls? Possibly. I don't know. I'm having dry eye issues on 5 hacks. Good to know that you're on 5 health hacks. That's the thing I promote all the time, the 5 health hacks. So you do take salt, it looks like, but you don't think it's ancestrally appropriate. Well, I disagree. I think it is absolutely ancestrally appropriate to intake salt. I think absolutely that when salt was desired, it was found. Salt licks and things. I think it would be crazy to imagine that we didn't find salt licks and go licky lick lick, yum yum yum. The thing with salt is your instincts will tell you whether you need salt right now or not, I think. Hello, Jonathan. Good to see you, mate. I will say hi to Pim with 1 M though. 1 M for Pim, not 2. Goodness. It's like having 3 Qs for a question. No, just 1. I will say hello, though. Thank you, Ben. Oh, excuse me. You would say absolutely not what, Alex Harris, NZ 8914? Absolutely not what? Be clear, people. Goodness. We're both very young and impressionable and easily confused, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yes, you are. Okay, here we go. Do exogenous ketones have any place? I take them before I have a Japanese lesson because it helps concentration. Any downside to them? What are your feelings, Lisa, on taking in ketones from a bottle?
I think at best maybe they help a bit, and like at worst they can have some, I don't know, they can probably mess with your system a little bit just because they're not really coming from within. I'm not too sure, but I think like, gosh, exogenous ketones. I don't know, if your body is making enough of them, then I think that you shouldn't really have an issue and a need to take them exogenously. Like, are you in ketosis? Are you eating well? Like, how often are you eating? Make sure that your ketones are actually providing you with the energy you need. And if you need to take exogenous ketones to function well, then maybe that's like covering up another thing that your body isn't producing enough. That's what I think.
Yep, good again. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, and that is that the human body is designed to generate ketones in the exact amount required as and when they are required. And your body does that by breaking down fats from storage and using those fats to make those ketones. So it's a quick provision of energy. That's the whole reason for ketones, to move energy around the body rapidly. And so if you find that taking exogenous ketones increases your concentration, your brain energy, for example, there's clearly an issue of some kind with your energy systems. You might actually find the same result by eating carbohydrates or fats, because they're both energy sources too, aren't they? So I would mess around with that a bit and see what you get. I'm not a fan of exogenous ketones personally. I don't think that there is a person that needs them or that you should take them. However, in small amounts, taken occasionally, they're unlikely to do any direct harm, except that they will obfuscate the need for you to break down fat to make ketones, at least for a while. And so if you're trying to lose body fat, then taking exogenous ketones is absolutely the wrong thing to do. How's that? All right. All right, there's a good, nice basic question. If you're on carnivore, is there a minimum amount of protein recommended daily to prevent muscle loss? I'm trying to reduce body fat to single-digit percentage, but I'm cautious of lowering the fat to do it. Okay, there's several threads there. Let's see what Lisa does with that, just because I'm fascinated.
Okay, so I'd say a good metric is to go by a gram of protein per pound of lean body mass. Depends on how lean you are, I guess. For someone who's overweight, I wouldn't say 1 gram per pound of body weight. But if you're already lean, then maybe aim for like 1 gram per pound of body weight. I think that's a good metric. And I think it depends, because if you want to lose more body fat, then maybe going low fat isn't as good as I would say fasting, because also fasting increases certain hormones that will preserve muscle, instead of if you go low fat, you might risk losing that muscle and having it broken down.
Yep, absolutely. Yes, I agree. 1 gram per pound of lean or ideal body mass. Sure, that's about right. Otherwise known as 2.2 grams per kilogram of lean body mass for those that don't use freedom units. And the second thread there is, it says, I'm trying to reduce my body fat to single-digit percentages. Why? For what purpose are you trying to achieve that? And how will you know you've got there? Because who's measuring this body fat percentage for you? By what methodology? Because they're wildly inaccurate, most methods available to the general public. So that would be an interesting thread as well. You can respond in the chat if you like later and let us know why it is that you would like to be so-called single-digit body fat percentage, and how is that going to be measured, for what reason, etc. Yeah. Okay. Peptides, thoughts on peptides for recovery and fat loss claims? Well, that's two different things, isn't it? We're going to have to charge you twice for 2 questions, aren't we? Okay. Matched with 1 meal a day and 98% animal products. Oddly, add an avocado and sauerkraut. Okay. All right. Why do you add an avocado and sauerkraut? For what reason? Why would you do that? And what peptides are you talking about? Because there are hundreds of different peptides. Goodness. Try again, Pete, I think. Come on, folks. Thanks for the question, but let's make it a question that we could actually answer. Yes. Right. Yes. Okay. All right. How old is Ted? There's a good question. Ted was gifted to me by a late aunt at my birth, which was nearly 54 years ago, believe it or not. So Ted would have been created by the creator of all teddy bears. Sometime before that, let's imagine he was created the same year. Who knows? He might have been on the shelf for a while before he was purchased. But he's probably 55, is Ted. He's doing well for an old man, isn't he? Thanks. Yes, I am. Oh, I'm going to go and twiddle the knobs. Good boy, you do that. Right. So that's how old Ted is. Right. 60-year-old female, carnivore, 6 years, love it, weight loss, stall, told I'm not eating enough. By whom? On the basis of what? Burning fat on board will shed toxins into your bloodstream, causing pain. Who told you that? MSN for detox, question mark. Your feelings. I think I've made them clear already, but I'll let Lisa have a go at all of that.
Okay, if you're told you're not eating enough, I just have to know, like, what are you eating? Because, again, as you said, according to who are you not eating enough? And I know it's quite a generic answer, but if you're having a weight loss stall, I think fasting is literally like the greatest thing that you can do. And it has so many more benefits other than weight loss, and it doesn't crash your metabolism. So if you have been eating not enough and under eating for a while, then maybe your metabolism has slowed down, and fasting will actually increase that, because if you eat normally on the days that you eat and then you just fast and you're just only burning fat, you don't have to worry about muscle loss or like a reduction in your metabolism.
Yeah, very good. Also, you've got this great big organ in your body called the liver, and one of the jobs it does constantly is detox. That's why it's there, among other things. So, yeah, you don't need to take anything for detox. Okay, good. Thanks for the question. Feasting female has a bear exactly like Ted. She's not exactly like Ted. If she's a she, then boys are different from girls. Did you notice? She's 58 years old, named Teddy. She is quite precocious. Yes, I'm interested. Tell me more. Waiting. Ted, behave yourself. Be a gentleman. Right. Do you think it's very harmful to insulin and blood glucose to have an occasional cheat meal? There we go. What do you think? Cheat meals?
Well, here it says junk food in brackets. I don't know what this person qualifies as junk food, but if you're eating processed and bad food, then I think there's like zero need for that. If you really want to have a cheat meal, maybe you can have some fruit or something if you want to satisfy like a sweet craving or something. I don't think it's like that bad for your insulin levels if it's occasional. I don't know what occasional means to you, but if it's once every few months and you're having a mango, I think you're okay, or your insulin will be fine. But junk food, I would not cheat with at all. If you're going to cheat, do it with real food.
There you go. Love it. I think you hit all the most important points there. Very naughty melted cheese cheating. It's very naughty indeed. Why would you want to do that? Yeah, occasional. Again, I think Lisa said pretty well there. What do you mean by occasional? Because Ted and I do naughty things occasionally too, and we're okay, I think. Okie dokie, tell me about BHB levels and why reaching higher levels is not necessarily a desirable thing in your opinion. The cognitive benefits at 3.0 compared to 1.5 seem good on top of FOXO and SIRT. Well, look, you do you. If you enjoy having ketones floating around your body and you think that it has some kind of benefit, then that's not something you necessarily need to fix, I would suggest. What I would suggest, however, is that depending on the methodology used to test these ketones, whether you're talking about breath or urine, that would have a big impact on whether or not that's actually a valid measurement of anything that's going on in your actual body at any given time. So you may be fooling yourself, I think. What do you think about that, Lisa? Am I completely wrong? Not forgetting, of course, that anyone that disagrees with me here on this channel is guilty immediately of hate speech and is a bigot.
Yeah, I think that you covered it. I don't know
Very
too much
good.
about beta hydroxybutyrate levels, but Again, how are you measuring those? Because if you're measuring them via blood versus urine, it can be very different and it can actually reflect very differently what the actual level is. Because if you're urinating out very high levels of ketones, then that shouldn't necessarily be a good thing because it can mean that your body isn't really utilizing them as proper as well. But yeah, I think if you feel good, then just keep doing what you're doing.
Very good. Okay. I think people know my feelings quite clearly on this topic. And if they don't, where have you been? But let's ask Lisa to see what she says. What is your take on statins and PCSK9 inhibitors? Then there's a bunch of other stuff which is completely irrelevant after that. So, I
I
mean,
hate statins. I know
yeah.
a lot of people that are on them, and I just have seen that it deteriorates people by so much. My grandmother was on them for a while, and her memory got so terrible that we had to get her off. Like, I think that they definitely are a cause of dementia as well, because what the statins do is it doesn't even do anything to the cholesterol that you ingest. All it does is stop your body from making cholesterol, which your body does for a reason. It makes all that cholesterol for things like myelin around your neurons, which literally help insulate them, help you think properly, help your memories form. So why would you want your body to stop doing that? It creates so much cholesterol because it needs it for a reason. So stopping it is the worst thing that you can do. So I am like 100% against statins. Also, the studies literally show that it doesn't even increase your lifespan or reduce risk of cardiovascular health by any point that's actually worth mentioning.
Absolutely correct. The other things on top of that cholesterol is very handy for is, well, cholesterol is the building block for all the myelin sheathing and all the neurons in your body. That's probably where the connection to Alzheimer's and dementia comes from, I would suggest. Ever heard of testosterone and or estrogen? They are your secondary sex characteristic type hormones. Both of those are manufactured from molecular cholesterol. So reduce that and you reduce your ability to function ideally, I guess, as either a male or a female. Notice there was two choices there. One or the other, you know. Statins are a metabolic poison, basically, that reduce your ability to produce coenzyme Q10, which is one of the respiratory chain pigments. There is absolutely no indication of any kind whatsoever that statins are useful in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. And the same is true for PCSK9 inhibitors, because their sole reason for being is to reduce the level of cholesterol in the blood, which is absolutely, utterly pointless. Will not improve your prognosis, your odds of anything. And there are no studies extant anywhere on the planet that are able to inform us on risk. So that's nonsense as well. I think we covered that the other day when we spoke to not a competent doctor, Terry Simpson, and smashed him around the ring for about an hour and a half on this one, to which he responded by going back to the X platform and behaving exactly as he was before he got smashed around the ring, as if he'd never been smashed around the ring. Incredible, really. Now this one's interesting. This one's very interesting. Could you go into more detail on fasting and avoiding muscle mass loss, etc.? Okay, very interesting one. Lisa, tell us all about fasting and muscle loss and the likelihood of that.
Well, us humans, let's look at it through an evolutionary standpoint. We evolved not having access to food every single day, or sometimes for days at a time. We wouldn't get a hunt. So what would we do? We would fast, and we're probably evolved. We are. But wouldn't it make sense that we're evolved to not eat for periods of times? And how would we have evolved as well as we did if not eating for 2-3 days would cause us to lose all our muscle? Because that doesn't have an advantage. So what we did is, I can't remember the exact gene names, but I do know that when we fast, it does increase growth hormone, stem cells, BDNF, the brain drive neurotropic factor, and also, again, make sure that your body will preserve muscle because that has an advantage to preserve muscle when you don't have access to food. So that's why when we fast, all these benefits come into play and it will prevent the loss of muscle versus eating less because you don't really unlock those fasting benefits when you're in a deficit of energy.
Yeah. Pretty damned impressive for an 18-year-old high school student, eh? Because I have had people with PhDs come at me with, oh, if you don't eat every day, or if you're in ketogenesis even, then you're going to break down your muscle mass for gluconeogenesis. Oh, okay. So after 3,800 million years of evolution at least, our genes are so inane, so badly designed, that rather than using the fat that's stored on our body for that very purpose, we're going to break down our muscles before we've used all the fat on our body.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I've also seen like some research about how when it comes to gluconeogenesis, people will say that our body will break down muscle for it, but a lot of the time, different organs will function better on different, like from getting the glucose from different sources of gluconeogenesis, and not all of it is muscle. Like a lot of our organs like getting it from lactate, from lactic acid, and from alanine and certain amino acids instead of just the muscle in general.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the most common precursor for gluconeogenesis is the glycerol backbones of triacylglyceride
Yeah, fat.
molecules, not proteins.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's as Lisa said, it is absolutely fundamentally one of the most ridiculous things going around in the nutrition space. That ketogenic diets, gluconeogenic diets are going to cause muscle wasting. Absolute nonsense.
I'd
No,
say
they're
that
not.
eating carbs is more likely to cause muscle loss because when you run out of glycogen or carbs as fuel, your body is not used to actually burning fat, so it might break down muscle instead. But if you're constantly in a ketogenic state, your body is used to burning fat for fuel. When you run out of dietary fat, it's such an easy switch from fat, like dietary fat, to body fat.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. What do you recommend when having high ferritin levels? Okay, several threads there. Let's see what Lisa does
So
with it. I'm just going to sit
I
here
think
and
unless you have hemochromatosis, which is a genetic condition where you store a crazy amount of iron, I don't see how high ferritin, or depends how high, I don't think that should be an issue, again, if you don't have hemochromatosis.
Yeah. So even if you do have an identified high ferritin level, according to whom, on the basis of what, compared with whom, what are your symptoms, what problems are you experiencing because of that? If there are no problems, then there's nothing that's required by way of action. If you feel like you want to just reduce your ferritin levels to get them within one standard deviation of the mean for some reason, do some bloodletting. In other words, go and give blood. And if you are not affected by the thing that a lot of people have been injected with, that thing, your blood might be worth something, actually, because I think it's quite highly sought after as pure blood these days. Anyway, that's for another day. Okay. Hello, Coach Angela. Good to see you. We love us some Angela up in here. Right. I have thin bones. Okay. I've been going to the gym for over 2 years, but I'm still very skinny. What do you mean you have thin bones? I mostly eat red meat and only have carbs about twice a month. What can I do to gain more size? More size of what? You say you have thin bones. You mean you've got a slight skeleton? Do you mean you're not broad in the skeletal department? Do you want more muscle mass? Do you want to add some fat? Do you want some water weight on you? Be clear about what it is what your goals are, I think.
I'd say if you want more muscle mass, or if you want like a slightly less like lean physique, then prioritize fat, eat more fat along with your protein. Yeah, more butter with your steak, just fattier cuts, just yeah.
Okay. What you'll find via a thing called Wolf's Law is your skeletal structure will adapt to your body structure at large, depending on your training. And you say you've been going to the gym for a while. Well, what have you been doing at the gym? Because what you do at the gym has a very high effect on what the outcomes are of going to the gym. Because some things you can do in the gym will be helpful and some won't. So there's that. Yeah. Yes. This one's an interesting one. If you have tried to get someone with type 2 off carbs and they refuse, does pushing meat heavy help when they are still addicted and suffering and stuffing carbs? Does the Randall cycle make eating meat worse? Again, quite a few threads in there. Let's see what Lisa does with that.
So I think that high fat and high carbs is a problematic territory to enter. I'm not too sure on this, but I do think that like eating high protein, high carb, or high fat and high protein is like the only of like ways that you should go, and that it gets bad when you start mixing the high fat and the high carb because of the Randall cycle. So I'd say maybe introduce leaner meats to this person if they're not willing to get off the carbs whatsoever. But again, they should definitely consider doing the high protein, high fat, because that's just the optimal way to go. That's just what I think.
Yep, very, very good. The Randall cycle is a thing. It absolutely is a thing. A diet which is rich in both fat and carbohydrate is not a good idea, period. The other thing is trying to get somebody to do something they don't want to do. That's a fool's game. It really is. Sorry. Are you based on raw meat? According to whom? Will raw meat kill us all?
No, I eat tartare quite a bit, you know, when I'm craving it. There'll be some weeks where all I'm craving is like a good steak tartare, so I'll just have that. And there's other weeks where all I want is a nice rare steak. But I don't think raw meat is gonna kill anyone. And it's funny because the people that have told me that raw meat is gonna kill me are the people that are eating a bunch of like shit and processed foods. It's like that's gonna kill you before raw meat kills me.
Oh, yes. Agreed
Yeah, it's so
entirely.
funny, honestly.
Yeah. Look, absolutely. If a person fancies red meat and they want to eat raw meat, and they want to eat some raw meat, go for your life. It's no
It's
skin
delicious,
off my
yeah.
nose. Oh, great. I mean, fine. I'm not a huge fan personally. I like at least some cooking. I used to have all my meat well done actually for years, and like recent years, I know. Can we still be friends?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. But in recent years, I'm heading more towards the, less and less cooking and being able to deal with that. I think it's an individual thing, and I think our instincts individually are good on that.
Yeah, and I also think it's since I was introduced to this way of eating so young, I was able to like process it and not be as grossed out as someone who's been taught for decades that this is bad for you and that it's gross, you know. There's less of like a cognitive dissonance there
Got it.
for
Awesome.
me.
Hey, just to let everybody know, we've got about 10 minutes left or so because I've got another appointment at the top of the next hour. Sorry that we started late. We had some technical stuff and we were trying to fix it, but never mind. I think Lisa's shown us enough that we know that she's worth having back. If you'd like to see Lisa come back again, let her know in several ways. Number one, comment under this video as in the live chat right now that you'd like her to come back and do some more. Secondly, when this is a pre-recorded video later on the channel, make a comment under there as well. And thirdly, if you're not subscribed to Lisa's Life 360, both on YouTube and on Instagram, when the show's finished, go and get that done, because this is about cross-pollination. This is about encouraging young people who have one or two brain cells to use those brain cells in the right way and to influence others who are also hopefully young people to take the right nutritional approach from a very young age. And let's face it, she's going to get some pushback from so-called experts that think she's just young and irresponsible. So we need to support And we need to make it clear to these idiots that she's neither. Okay? So get that done. There you go. Yes, PhD stands for pin-headed dopes, usually. Yes, you're right. Usually it does. Right, here we go. Why does arterial plaque take decades to develop? Is it because the repair mechanism gets weaker, or what exactly? What do you think, Lisa? Why do you think it takes a while?
I think it takes a while to develop because I think, for one thing, maybe it is that, your body does try to fix when there's an issue. So again, when you do have some issues and plaque progression in your arteries, your body will try to get that out. But then over time, it kind of, when you keep feeding it bad things, it will slowly deteriorate, and maybe it will be harder for it to actually get rid of that plaque, leading to, the buildup.
Yeah. Atherosclerosis is a slow progressive disease. It's an injury that happens slowly and progressively, precisely because of the mechanism by which that injury is occurring, as offset by the healing process becoming overwhelmed over time. So pretty much in a nutshell, that's the answer to that one. Here's an interesting one about studies. If studies don't show cause and effect, and they don't, how would I explain to someone how any plant food is bad without error? There you go. How would you do that?
So number one, you have to be sure that they're willing to actually listen to you, and because I think it's not worth having the conversation if they're just incompetent. And if they are willing to actually listen, just first of all, ask why plants are good for you, because I think most people can't really answer that. Like, they don't really have an answer behind that. So ask why they're good for you. And if they say, oh, they're nutrient dense, ask which nutrients, and then bring up the fact that they're literally defense chemicals and chemical compounds that will prevent humans from absorbing these nutrients. And it's just a fact. Like, they can't say no to that.
Yeah. Stick with the facts. Stick with those things that are absolutely establishable as facts. And cause and effect are not two of those things in terms of hard health outcomes that we can comment on and say science shows, because it doesn't. What we can do is go to the physical anthropology, the N15, N14 stable isotope testing that tells us absolutely without any question what human beings have eaten throughout their entire existence, except for the last 10 or 11,000 years. We can point to the fact that Darwinian evolution is not a theory. It is a demonstrated fact. Now, I'm agnostic religiously. I have no particular beliefs one way or the other. The existence, the absolutely demonstrable existence of evolution does not preclude a higher power having created the universe in the first place, or putting us here in the first place, or putting together the seeds that would become us. I'm not saying anything on that regard. What I am saying is, those of you who want to sit there and say evolution is not a thing, wakey, wakey, smell the bakey. Yes, it is. How do I establish that? Let me ask you a question, Lisa. You have a set of genes in every one of your cells, do you not?
I do.
Right. And those genes, are they an exact copy of your mum's?
No.
Are they an exact copy of your dad's?
No.
They're a mixture of your mum's and dad's genes?
Yes.
There's evolution. We're done. Finish. End of discussion. Okay? Goodness sake. When we know that evolution is a thing, as we've just proven that it is, then we know that some genes are more favorable than other genes. Some genes lead to those genes not being passed on to another generation, where other genes tend to be better at that. Okay? So if we have eaten a diet which is largely the flesh and fat of animals for hundreds of thousands of years at least, and it's actually more like millions, pretty likely, then our bodies, our genes have adapted to that, have they not? Yes. So the best approach would be to follow that gift, one would have thought. That's my logic anyway. Then what you do is you go, well, let's go to anecdotes. Let's have a look at people who eat a carnivore diet and have done that for multiple decades without falling over dead from scurvy, bum cancer, or any of those things that we're told, heart disease, whatever we're going to get. It would seem like it all stacks up. Stacks up a lot better than these idiots saying, oh, science shows, when it doesn't. Anyway. Bloop, 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 bloop. It's just a little reminder for me that the top of the hour is coming up. I know it's coming up to the top of the hour, computer. Goodness. Will creamer in the coffee eliminate caffeine? No.
Yeah, no.
Why would it?
I've never heard that one.
Okay. What is the stem cell release differences if you do a 48 or 72-hour fast, I guess that means, versus the cerebral stem enhance? Don't know. Reason I don't know is because I don't know how much the stem cell release is from a 48 or 72-hour fast. I've never seen that, any data on that published anywhere, so I couldn't possibly tell you. It's funny why nobody acknowledges the Randall cycle. Why is that? My opinion is because nobody understands it very well. And it's also because in mainstream education of medical students, nutritionists, allied health professionals, all of those kind of people, you will not find it taught. It's not in the curriculum. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, and I think it also goes against what they do teach, because they teach that balanced diet is the way to go, that you need balance between all macronutrients, when it's that very balance that throws off the Randall cycle and that triggers it.
All right. Last question then, I think, or maybe one more, depends. Okay. Would you say that eating carnivore has been great for your skin and hair? And did you previously suffer from acne?
Yeah, I definitely had one of like the worst cases of acne I have ever seen. Maybe like 2 years ago, that's when I started to develop it. Carnivore cured it, like literally. I went on several medications before and none of them actually helped, or it would, and then it would come back after. Carnivore quite literally got rid of it permanently. And I'd say not permanently, but I only will ever get any little spot when I go off track and when I eat something that I am not, like, supposed to, or something that's not really carnivore. I'll find that, yeah, I'll get some breakouts. But genuinely, like, if I'm months into carnivore, my skin will just stay so clear. It's crazy. And I don't even put anything on my skin. Like, I don't even wash my face with anything but water, or like use any creams. I'll put tallow sometimes, but other than that, nothing, and it stays clear.
There you go. Ah, yes. I remember being 18 too. I just remember it. It was a while ago. Anyways, there it is. Hey, look, once again, Lisa, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your bravery, really, to front up to these animals that follow me here on the YouTube. You've all been pretty well behaved. I think that's been good. Well done. I think that you've shown enough to show us that it's clear that you've got enough clues that you can handle this. And I think, personally, I'd love to have you back again for more
I'd love to be
questions
back.
and answers.
I see there's more questions that
there are more questions.
Let's another time.
Yes, let's leave them wanting more. That's always the way you should go. Sorry that we are limited on time today, but that's how the cookie crumbles. Join myself and hopefully Lisa again in the near future for more questions and answers. Don't forget, in a couple of days from now, I've got the latest session of what we're calling Unacceptable Views with Coach Stephen Thomas from the UK. So he and I will be here in a couple of days' time to cause some trouble. In the meantime, don't forget all of those things you got to do. Comment under this video later on that you'd like to see Lisa back and it was really, really good. Share the link out on your social media links so that people can see that Lisa exists. Go and sub to her channels on both YouTube and Instagram, and on both places it's Lisa's Life 360, LIZAS LIFE 360. That is. Get that done. in the meantime, and we will see you all again very, very soon.
Yes.
Thanks for being here. All right. Again, we won't sing the song because I haven't sorted out the music and stuff yet for that. So that's lucky. You don't have to sit through me singing. Isn't that lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. See ya.